My blog is about returning to the Garden of Eden. In the Garden of Eden, there was Adam and Eve, and they had everything taken care of. All their food was taken care of, and they could just wander the garden, do whatever they wanted. They could hike, they could run, they could explore all the different parts of nature, all the different flowers and the trees. They could hang out with each other, they could make love, they could have children, all those things. And then they realized that there was something more they wanted from the experience. They wanted to know something more about the nature of themselves and of their bodies and of the earth and all the things that they were looking at. And what was the nature of God? And there was a tree in the Garden of Eden called the Tree of the Knowledge of Good and Evil. And they knew that if they ate from that tree, then they could know what God knew, or come somewhere close to it. So they did. They ate an apple from the tree. And instantly they had ego. Instantly they had self-hatred. Instantly they had all these negative experiences. They looked at themselves and they said, "Oh, I'm naked, that's disgusting, I need to have clothes on." So they put clothes on. They didn't like themselves. And they also, it's said that they were punished by God. I don't look at it as much of a punishment, but just that it was part of the deal that they had signed up for by eating the apple. They suddenly had to toil and slave in the fields. Food was not provided for them anymore. They had to provide it for themselves. And, it was a lot of work, and life was very different than what it had been before they ate the apple. But it's what they signed up for. It's what they wanted. They really did want this experience, because now they had something to compare with the paradise that they had had before, and now they knew what paradise was. Because they had to toil and slave, now they knew they had something to put next to it to compare, and they could see how wonderful they had it before. And this began a long journey for humanity back to the Garden of Eden. Right now we're in a part of the journey, and we started off in paradise, we ate the apple, and we had struggle and strife and ego, and we are now on our way back to coming full circle, and we're on our way back to Eden. So we came from there, but we're also on our way back there. And once we've explored and seen everything that we want to see, and understand nature in our bodies and our minds in the way that we want to, then we will come back together with God and realize that we were never actually gone from God in the first place. In fact, we actually never had to struggle and strive and toil and slave the way we do. We're not separate from the abundance of God. We have all the money and love and health and everything that we could ever want. But we have deceived ourselves. Because of our ego, we have deceived ourselves that these things are gone from us, that we are separate from God. That's just an illusion we live in. So that's basically what my blog is all about, is about the coming back together with God. We're in a very slow evolution back to God, and we're just in a unique place. So I think we have some internal prisons that we have for ourselves. We have a scatteredness of mind, and we have this ego to contend with. We have self-hatred that we have to contend with. And, we also have external prisons. We have the government, we have taxes, we have the justice system, we have other people that we work with. We have all these external things also that we need to work on that have become prisons for us. So how do we get back to the freedom of the Garden of Eden? How do we get back to the joy and paradise and ease of life that we had then? that's what this blog is all about, is how do we navigate these structures outside of ourselves and inside of ourselves that are keeping us from our Garden of Eden. So my personal journey in life is back to that garden. How do I find that inner joy and that external joy also? How do I find those things? So I hope you'll join me in that quest.